I am Melinda Allen with the New Mexico Partnership. I am the president and CEO, and we're excited to have this conversation and to help the folks that you're working with learn more about New Mexico. So welcome and glad for this chat. You know, in New Mexico, we are a state of family-owned businesses. So people wake up in the morning and they go to work and they work hard, and then they want to come home and they want to enjoy their families. They want to enjoy the outdoors. And so there's this great opportunity to have good work opportunities and good quality of life opportunities. And so you get that full mix in every day of life that's happening in New Mexico. So it's a great mix of work and play and living, and really being able to explore all of the things that you want to do. New Mexico has a very diverse industry mix throughout the entire state. And so a lot of people don't know that there is opportunities almost in every industry. And so right now we see a lot of growing in advanced manufacturing across multiple industries. So whether you are building very high-tech satellite parts or microchips or things that go into the auto industry, there are opportunities there. We also have a lot of value-added agriculture and food manufacturing. So we're actually the fourth largest producer of cheese in the United States. We make soy-based food products. We make frozen foods, salsas, snack foods. So a whole range of food products as well are made and distributed out of New Mexico. We see a lot in energy. Energy is about a third of New Mexico's economy. So whether that's traditional sources, renewable sources, on the production side, but also on all of the industries that support those production and the aftermarket use of those products. So anything in the energy industry is big in New Mexico. We are also one of the largest film states in the United States. Companies like Netflix and NBC Universal all have studios here. And so film production and TV shows and everything else that goes along in that industry is booming and growing in New Mexico as well. We're also seeing a large growth in biosciences, in medical, almost anything that you can imagine. We have some of those sectors and subsectors here in New Mexico and the entire ecosystem to support them. So New Mexico is really vibrant and diverse, and the opportunities are really endless. There are so many ways to come in and be successful and capitalize on those opportunities. So I think, you know, entrepreneurs in New Mexico face similar challenges to entrepreneurs everywhere, in that you really need to have a solid business plan in mind before you get started. And so taking that business plan then to the next step of commercializing yourself can sometimes be a hurdle. And so, you know, we have worked very hard in New Mexico to put different assistance programs in place to be able to get entrepreneurs through that process. And so being able to solidify your idea, right? We can work with our small business development centers they can help with business planning and making sure the entrepreneur understands all the ins and the outs. And then again, finding funding can sometimes be a challenge. And so, you know, we have different VC groups that we can help connect companies with. Again, working with the Small Business Development Center to identify funding sources. There are several banks who will work with entrepreneurs as well for different capital lending programs or equipment purchasing. And so there are challenges and hurdles, just like entrepreneurs face everywhere, but then there's programs that we can help connect them to hopefully help them overcome those hurdles. And then you mentioned again, finding that balance between starting that business and then also having your family. And I think that's what is really great in New Mexico, because we are a big state of family-owned businesses. So that standard of living expectation is that you will have a family and that you do need to support your family and make that balance between having a family and going to work. And so there's, most of the companies I talk to, it's not uncommon for a parent to leave the work in the middle of the day because they have to take a kid to a doctor's office or to a soccer game or support the family in other ways. So they're very flexible in how they look at that work-life balance. And so there's I think the support system and just the way we already live our lives in New Mexico really supports that opportunity. The role of the New Mexico partnership is to help businesses through the site selection process. We help companies identify appropriate locations, make connections with local communities, provide information on labor, any other data, help them through the incentive process, everything they would need to make a business decision to locating within the state of New Mexico. When we start talking about assisting entrepreneurs, we then become the introducers and supporters to find the services that they need. We can connect them with the small business development centers or other business assistance, networking groups, supporting entities. We act as that networking connection point. So we really are that one phone call a company needs to make to get connected to all of the resources in New Mexico. So if they have a question about how do I build out my business plan, we can help connect them to the right entity. If they have a question about how can I get financing to buy this piece of equipment that I need, we can help connect them to those resources. And so that's how we kind of act as that liaison and support piece to the other resources in New Mexico that can help support them. I think the soft landing process is really important for companies, especially companies coming from outside of the United States that are looking for locations in the United States, because it gives them a built-in support system as they are looking for opportunities. And so we have members on our team and through our greater network that can support that soft landing process. So for us, we enjoy that process because we want companies to feel confident and comfortable that they are going to get the information they need, the resources that they need, the help that they need. So whether that's immigration lawyers and attorneys, accountants who can help with New Mexico tax systems, or any other assistance that a company needs to get set up through this process, this soft landing process, I think is a very positive thing and very important to have to be able to support companies looking at New Mexico. New Mexico has a whole suite of incentives that companies can apply for. A lot of our incentives really focus on supporting manufacturers in the state. And so those are probably the largest set of incentives that we have. There are some, if you are looking at purely investment, there are some investment tax credits that can be taken advantage of. Some of our most popular incentives is a program that we call LEDA, which is the Local Economic Development Act, LEDA. This is a reimbursable grant program to help reimburse the cost of building, land, or infrastructure improvements. So if you are building a new building, you have to improve a building, you have to add additional electricity, whatever, to a site, we can help reimburse a portion of those costs. They have also used this program when a tenant maybe is coming into a building and they don't have to make any changes to the building to potentially cover rent or lease payments for a limited amount of time on a project. And this is a reimbursable grant. So if you hit the basic milestones of creating jobs, creating new investment, you can receive this program. Another very popular program is our Job Training Incentive Program, or JTIP, we call it. And this is a program to help reimburse the wages of a new hire during that initial training period when they first come on the job. And that can be between a 50 and a 75% reimbursement of those wages for up to 6 months. And so and that's a cash reimbursement. And this program can be used every time the company grows. So if they first come in and they need to hire 10 employees, we can apply for those 10 jobs for JTIP. And then in 2 years, they're ready to expand and they need to hire another 10 employees, you can come back. So it's every time you add a new job, you can come back to this job training incentive program. If you meet the qualifications, you are entitled to receive the award. We have been a little bit insulated in New Mexico from those rapidly rising cost of living increases. New Mexico is still very, very affordable. Our cost of living is usually well below the national average. And so when you think of a median home value in, let's say, Albuquerque, for a 1,500 square foot home, you may be looking for something in that $250,000 to $275,000 range. And so affordability in New Mexico is really wonderful right now. Now, we start to see some of those small increases, but there's still so much opportunity and ability to come in and take advantage of that lower cost of living. So we'll take it as long as we can have it. We love that in New Mexico, people can come in and work for a company. They can live close. They can afford to live close to the company, enjoy that short commute, enjoy that wonderful cost of living, and then still be able to take a 30-minute drive and be in the mountains the same day. And so it's a great balance. It's a great opportunity. New Mexico's banking environment is pretty diverse because we have a lot of the national banks, but we also have a lot of local or state banks as well. And so each of the banks have several different lending programs and assistance programs to help small companies, emerging companies, growing companies be able to finance their projects. We actually had just one bank that I was talking to at an event last week, and they have a capital lending program to help purchase equipment. And so the company doesn't need to have a large collateral or other thing to back the financing of the equipment. The bank basically purchases it, and it's like a lease to own. And so there are different programs and assistance. A lot of the banks also participate in some of the state lending programs, so that with the state lending, they can help buy down the cost of that initial capital or required for lending and different funding assistance programs. So the state and the banks work hand in hand to help assist local companies with that initial lending opportunity. Logistically, infrastructure in New Mexico is ideally located. So we are actually the center point for two major railroads, the Burlington Northern Santa Fe and the Union Pacific. Both of those railroads go from the Port of LA to the Port of Houston, and we are exactly in the middle of both of those transcontinental lines, which means that in New Mexico, those railroads have very large refueling stations, intermodal stations, transloading stations, storage stations, hundreds of acres of rail-served opportunities. So rail infrastructure is fantastic in New Mexico. We have rail-ready sites available right now, which is a unique thing in the United States right now. We have great interstate connectivity. We have two interstates going east and west and another going north and south. We have great internet connectivity. We have a lot of satellite internet. We have a lot of fiber. Some of our smaller communities actually have better fiber than you would see in most locations. So it really is matching your needs with what is available in the different markets in New Mexico. As far as air service goes, we have an international airport in Albuquerque, and then we are regionally located close to several other international airports, just depending on what market you are in New Mexico. We also have regional airports scattered throughout New Mexico. And so in most cases, you can get to all of the major markets in the United States in a single flight. So if you needed to, say, go to somewhere in Latin America, you can very easily connect direct to Houston, direct to Atlanta, and then from there to anywhere in Latin America. New Mexico is really a bilingual state. And so over 50% of our population is a minority. And so we're actually a minority majority state. And so a lot of the government services are in English and in Spanish. And so there is great accessibility for clients and companies coming in who may have a stronger preference or desire for Spanish. And so all of our resources and opportunities can be provided for both language speakers. So it's a great opportunity. It's a great fit for Latin American companies to consider New Mexico. I think culturally there are a lot of similarities just based on the population of who is already currently living in New Mexico, and just that culture of family-owned businesses. And we really are a very welcoming state and a very diverse state.
Yo he escogido Nuevo México porque me encantaba la calidad de vida, el clima, en el sentido del tiempo, pero también en el clima de negocios. Y bueno, ofrece muchas oportunidades para hacer negocios, pero también para tener una calidad de vida que no existe en otros estados. Y la cultura también. Yo estuve unos años en América Latina, y tiene una cultura parecida. Es una cultura familiar, de relaciones, pero también tiene su propia cultura. Es muy única, es como una cultura auténtica que no existe en otras partes del país, que ya no existe en Florida, en California. Entonces, somos un estado diferente.
We are a private nonprofit. All of our services are free and confidential. So for companies who need our assistance, there is no cost to them. We contract with the state of New Mexico's Economic Development Department to provide this assistance to companies. So there is no charge for giving us a call and having us help a company through the process. It's as easy as calling me on my cell phone or shooting me an email or calling a member of my team. We'd love to set up a video call to start the conversation, to learn more about what the client needs. And then we can base and tailor our solution and services to what that company needs. Our organization's entire mission is to help companies locate in New Mexico. So if we can help answer questions, provide information, start the process. And we know sometimes it's a longer process for companies because they may have more questions or they may need more information, or they may want to come out for a visit and see before they make a decision. We can help them through all of those steps so that they feel comfortable when they make a decision to come to New Mexico, that they're going to be successful and be here long term.